Hi everybody. It's been a while, hasn't it? This is a video commentary on my A10 Unseeded Necrobinder run in 8 minutes and 16 seconds. I figured I'd try more of a casual tone so I can explain everything that happened during this run. If you're gonna say this is stealing from Nalay and Meagle, you'd be right. The raw run is in the description if you would like to watch that too. Starting off from Niao, I go ahead and pick up the Arcane Scroll. If I didn't get anything meaningful, I'd reset. Thankfully, End of Days is just about the best rare card I could possibly receive. Without it, AoE fights like these slugs could go up to 3 turns, potentially 4, instead of being beatable in 1 or 2. Despite having the End of Days, I still pick up this high 5. Necrobinder's AoE options are really lacking, and for fights where the secondary effect of End of Days won't activate, it really is just spending 3 energy to do nothing immediately. High 5 also gives a source of Vulnerable, which I consider to be universally the strongest speedrunning idea. 50% extra bonus damage is often the difference maker. Borrowed Time sets this run up for Act 3. When playing an X-cost card, a Borrowed Time really does just give it 5 more energy to play around with, for no downside. Seeing Volley on top of everything else really is what gives this run legs. Being able to dump your energy into a card this efficient at dealing damage is as strong in Act 1 as it is in Act 3. I no longer need to take cards that would prevent me from playing Volley for maximum possible damage. Borrowed Time is so nice, I'd like to even have it twice. No, but seriously, I really need to see Volley alongside a Borrowed Time to be able to do some damage in late game, so picking up 2 right now makes sense. Getting out of most fights without taking ship damage is very important. Necrobinder is particularly frail, and because this is an A10 speedrun, we're forced into taking more elites than you might be comfortable with. Especially in Underdogs this is an issue, because it's when the player is weakest, and it's where the scariest elites lie, including the Skulking Colony. An enemy you cannot one-shot is antithetical to speedrunning. You have to take blows from it, so you can always do 20 damage to it a turn, taking blows with health you just don't have. Heaven willing, I draw my End of Days on the correct turn, and I thankfully do. As I fumble around with my cards here, I remember that the boss of the act is still the Waterfall Giant. Waterfall Giant is, to put it lightly, shoddy for speedrunning. Partially because it's bulky and makes you weak on turn 2. The other issue is that you might just die to the Steam Eruption if you didn't save health throughout the act and against the boss. Knowing I have gained 3 strength from my power potion, and have incredibly fortunately drawn into my volley from Neurosurge, I decide to use my attack potion for a bit of extra damage from the Reptile Trinket on top of the vulnerable from high 5. On a turn where I cannot volley it for lethal for whatever reason, I can stall and play defense with Borrowed Time to store energy with Ice Cream. Due to how much damage I prevented by killing Hallway so quickly during Act 1, and the lucky Ice Cream drop for the Waterfall Giant itself, I can survive its Steam Eruption this time around. Another unimaginably fortunate sequence of events grants me Neurosurge and Coco with Volley and Ice Cream, as my quick and dirty damage plan for the remainder of the run. On my mind then, there are only a couple of struggles to worry about. Even though I can store as much energy as I'd like, killing on turn 1 is still my fastest option. Having consistency on turn 1, then, is the main prerogative. Second, the issue I spoke about with Skulking Colony is still very much present. I need some plan to deal with the test subject in Act 3 if I run into it. Test Subject is the only enemy left in the game that I cannot simply one-shot due to the segmented health bar of its 3 phases. This Juicy Bracelet from Wongo helps resolve the first issue I mentioned in a bit of a roundabout way. I no longer need to worry about not finding lethal damage in fights if I simply don't see them. For this reason, Juicy Bracelet is considered the strongest speedrunning relic. Also bolstering my consistency is the Colorful Philosopher's event, though I'm not entirely sure I took the right choice. If I take defect cards, I can potentially see Reboot, Overclock, Skim, Supercritical, and Double Energy. All of these are for quite obvious reasons, strong options. They either boost my volley, or they help me draw into it. Other than Juzu Bracelet and a Mystic Lighter, Bag of Preparations and Innate Consistency makes it the strongest relic I could see in this run at this moment. The Stone of All Time event and Lethality from the Exoskeletons gives my volley the damage it needs for the Knowledge Demon fight, as well as every enemy except for the test subject. The Vigorous Enchantment, the draw from Calculated Gamble, the Lethality, and the unfathomable amount of energy generation in this deck all lead to a one-turn fight against the Knowledge Demon. I don't even need to use a potion to do this, which is a rare feat against such a bulky enemy. Moving into Act 3, seeing the test subject and Vaku on the map scare me quite a bit. Vaku is typically the worst ancient, since you do not want to be adding cards to your deck. More than half of his relics are strict slowdowns for speedruns. As it turned out, however, Music Box was the key to finishing this run. By Act 3, I stopped playing pretty sloppily and not as quickly as I should have. Usually A0 speedruns are about 5 minutes in length, so I'm not used to having to hold my nerves together for that little bit longer. Because volley is my main damage, and test subject is a fight I will at least have to take some damage from, I decide I can start removing strikes instead of defense. The Court event has a 2/3 chance of giving me a Forced Curse, and a 1/3 chance of forcing a Doubt into my deck, so I'm very happy to see that it doesn't do either. Even though I'm taking these hallways down fairly comfortably, the amount of card plays I'm doing, some of them are necessary, and the animation times are slower than if I just hadn't run into them in the first place. By the relic trader, my nerves are completely shot, and I spend about 10 seconds considering what relic I should trade away. If I get rid of my Regal Pillow and one of the upcoming fights shellacks me, then I might not have enough health for the test subject. I decide I only have one event left, so Juzu Bracelet has given me the most value it possibly could this run. A lot of the time I spend considering during this act is being thoughtful as to which potions I pick up for consistency and survivability against the test subject. Even without a Juzu Bracelet, I thankfully don't run into an encounter, and instead get a Gambler's Brew. This is an incredible consistency potion against the bosses. I can either kill the Queen in one turn, or have an easier time against the test subject's second or third phases. The Stable Serum was likely a little bit better for the second purpose, but killing the Queen quickly means I have more precious health for the test subject. With a Panagraph from the Soul Nexus, I can now grab an extra upgrade at this rest node safely. Using Gambler's Brew against the Queen is the only way I can find lethal against it on turn 1. Admittedly, this is a bit of a habit play from Ascension 0 speedrunning, where you don't really need to consider what happens after the Queen. She's the last fight in the run, every time there. Only as I gazed into the test subject's dark holes that masqueraded as eyes, did I first start feeling the absurdity of this run, and speedrunning Spire in general. I knew the luck wasn't perfect. I was currently fighting the worst boss of Act 3 after clawing my way through the worst boss of Act 1. I thought, even if I won this run, it would always be tainted by spending so much time dawdling about. However, I also knew I would never be able to live with myself if I couldn't prevent the run from falling apart for one last fight. Only as I gazed into the test subject's dark holes that masqueraded as eyes, I recognized that I, Mira, was no different from the test subject, bound to fall and rise for time immemorial. Thank you for watching.
Don't draw it next turn. I need to not draw it this turn. Wait, no, I have so many. Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! I think that's the run I'm uploading to YouTube. But if I have content, maybe like and subscribe, follow the Twitch. That was ridiculous. Holy shit. Okay, that's the first time I felt good about a run in a while. Thank you, Noe. Thank you, Wolf. Everyone watching. Oh my god.